Happy Friday, everybody. It wasn't as happy of a Friday as I wanted it to be, but with the Giants losing tonight, 3-2. This is Giants Roundup. It's Friday, June 15th. You can follow on Twitter, join the Crooked Kite page on Facebook, and most importantly, please be kind and hit that subscribe button. And yeah, it was better than what the game was. The bats were left in Miami, I guess, after that 16 inning game. And plenty of roster moves are going to be made in the next couple days. But let's start off with the game. It started off with a home run by P.K. Hernandez. That makes it 1-0 the Dodgers in the first inning. And then Matt Kemp, giant killer Matt Kemp comes in with a home run of his own to make it 2-0. And that would be Matt Kemp's only hit of the night. But I think they will be without Matt Kemp tomorrow since he is going to be suspended for a game for his involvement of the bench clearing brawl. Then later in the fourth inning, Yasiel Puig doubles to deep right to score Yasmani Grandal. It made it 3-0. Then Panda in the seventh hits one. It's a teaser homer. It scores Crawford. It makes it 3-2, and that would be your final score. But it was not. The bats were not working tonight except for Pablo Sandoval. He goes 2 for 3. Hanson 0 for 4. He's kind of been quiet the last few games. Brandon Crawford, he's cooling off to 322. Nick Hundley 0 for 3. Mac Williamson 0 for 3. Austin Jackson 0 for 3. So it might be time for some Starbucks coffee in those bats tomorrow. But give it credit where credit is due. Ross Stripling, 6 in the third innings, pitched 2 earned runs. He has really done a great job since moving into the starting rotation for the Dodgers. He is 6-1, especially in a year where they're walking wounded with the rotation. Then the bullpen was able to hold it together. But this is really a series where the Giants cannot afford to lose. And now with the loss, the Giants, believe it or not, are tied. Okay, they're still one game back of being in the cellar. But yeah, they're still a game. They're barely a game above the being in the cellar. With believe it or not, the Padres are one game back. They could be in third place. That's how crazy this division is. And now LA with this win, if they don't win the division, they're now starting to climb back into the wild card race at this point. I don't know if this is make or break for the Giants yet, but they cannot afford to lose the series. They need to win the next two. Tomorrow is almost going to be a must-win game. They really need a series win at this point. They can't afford too many losses here down the stretch with LA starting to find their rhythm and Arizona looking like the two contenders. Or else it is time to start discussing culture change. Or else you may see Austin Slater have to come up, or you might see Steven Duggar make his major league debut. But these bats need to get it going tomorrow. And Pierce Johnson was called up on the taxi squad after the 16 inning game on. So they had Pierce Johnson come in, pitch 2 innings, was pretty good. He did get the bases loaded in the seventh, but he was able to get out of a jam, so that was good there. And now Pierce Johnson will go back to Sacramento. And then yesterday's game also, it looks like Evan Longoria suffered the same kind of pinky injury Bumgarner just went through, so he could be out easily until August, maybe even September. So he'll probably go on the 60-day disabled list at some point to clear a roster space for somebody else. But lucky for them, they're going to get Brandon Belt back, and Brandon Belt. If there's any time for Belt to be coming back, this is the time for Brandon Belt to come back when the bats are cold. Maybe Brandon Belt's going to be the guy that can provide a spark for the batting order right now. Certainly, and Bumgarner's going to need to have a game tomorrow. I'd really like to see Bumgarner come in, get a win for them tomorrow, especially after his last performance wasn't the greatest. So we'll see what happens there. And then also some news. Looks like we had some good news out of Jeff Samardzija. Looks like he did pretty good over there in Sacramento. We'll talk about that a little later when we get to the MLB and around the minors tonight. The guy who did the most damage to the Giants tonight was Logan Forsythe, going 2 for 3. But the Dodgers, they've just got to give them credit for not, as much as people don't want to got to give Dodgers some credit for hanging in there after a very slow start of the season, just to get themselves back in this playoff race. They could have easily folded, but no, they're now just 2.5 games back of Arizona. And believe it or not, we're 6 weeks away from the trade deadline already. So this is the Giants' time to make a move and not sit on. They can't sit on the pot anymore. This is their time, or else they could easily find themselves being sellers if they're not careful and embracing that dreaded culture change they're trying to avoid. But it's going to be but you're likely going to see a platoon at third base until for the next few weeks with Alan Hansen and Pablo Sandoval. They're going to be your starting third baseman for a while. Unless one of them gets hurt, then you're going to see Ryder Jones. So you're one injury away from being back to Ryder Jones at third base. But certainly looks like Samardzija, he's looking like he's finally healthy. Getting a healthy Samardzija, it goes a real long way towards shoring up that rotation. But those bats need to hit more. It's just the bats need to get going, and before it's too little, too late. I mean, 5 games is not insurmountable, but Arizona's starting to pull away. And if the Giants, and if June swoon does come into full effect, it's going to get ready for culture change. And it may not be fun hearing the words culture change when we get to the month of July if things don't turn around. But that series against Miami just was not good. That was a series they needed to win. Now it makes this series a must win. They need to win the next 2 games. Or easily they could find themselves 6.5, 7.5 games back of Arizona by the time they go home to play the Fish again. And then they get the Friars, who The Friars are not going to be an easy task either. San Diego's actually look right now. San Diego's kind of hot right now, so they're picking a wrong time to play the Friars next week. So this season could easily start going downhill in a moment, and you may have to embrace the dreaded fire sale the Giants don't want to do if things don't get better next week. But they need to start. The time is now to start winning and make a run, or the culture change is happening. Let's go around the let's go around the MLB for your MLB roundup for tonight. In Baltimore, the Orioles lose to the Marlins 2-0. And now the worst team in baseball, the Baltimore Orioles, fall to 19-49. Taking the win, Jose Urena gets the second win of the season. 8 scoreless innings. Taking the loss, Kevin Gausman. Kyle Barraclough with his 5th save of the year. And you know what? Miami's not too far away from New York. So they're actually hanging in there. In the Bronx, the Yankees blank the Braves 5-0, taking the win. In his major league debut, Jonathan Luisiga taking the loss. Nathan Eovaldi, who gives up 5 earned and 7 in third innings pitched. Didi Gregorius has been excellent as of late. Goes 3 for 4 tonight. Hits his 14th home run of the season. In Pittsburgh, the Pirates edge the Reds 3-2, taking the win. Chad Kuhl taking the loss. Matt Harvey. And in Toronto, the Blue Jays beat the Nats 6-5, taking the win. Sang Hwan Oh taking the loss. Gio Gonzalez, who gets lit up for 5 earned and 6 innings pitched. Yangervis Solarte goes 3 for 4. It's 2 home runs, and Solarte, he's definitely going to be a trade chip for a team at the deadline. Devin Travis goes 2 for 3 for the Blue Jays. Anthony Rendon 3 for 4 for the Nats tonight. Travis hits his 3rd home run of the year. And somehow Toronto was able to get to Washington tonight, get to Gio Gonzalez. In Cleveland, the Twins beat the Indians 6-3, taking the win. Kirk Gibson taking the loss. Corey Kluber, who was pedestrian tonight. 4 earned and 5 innings pitched. Only struck out 3. And in Atlanta, the Padres continue to stay hot and beat the Braves 9-3. Taking the win, Clayton Richard. Taking the loss, Sam Freeman, who give up 3 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning pitched. Hunter Renfroe going 2 for 4 for the Friars. Manuel Margot goes 2 for 3 for the Friars. Freddie Galvis 5 for 5. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if San Diego actually buys at this year's deadline. Peter Moylan, 2 earned and 1/3 of an inning pitch for Atlanta. In Texas, the Rangers lose to the Rockies 9-5, taking the win. Chad Bettis taking the loss for the is Yohander Mendez. Adrian Beltre goes 2 for 3 for the Rangers. Nolan Arenado 3 for 4, hits his 13th home run of the year. Ian Desmond finally cracks the Mendoza line by going 3 for 5, hits 2 home runs tonight. He's not had a great batting average, but he has hit 14 home runs on the year. And Matt Moore, former Giant Matt Moore, has been demoted to the Rangers bullpen, pitched 3 innings out of the bullpen tonight. And in Milwaukee, the Brewers clobber the Phillies 13-2. Brett Suter takes the wins. Jake Arrieta gets pounded 3 and a third innings pitched, 4 earned runs. Hernan Perez goes 3 for 5. Cesar Hernandez 3 for 3 for the Phillies. And yeah, it was not a good night for Arrieta. He hits the opposing pitcher. And Suter hits Williams back. Yeah, but Arrieta gives up 8 runs, 4 earned. And this game got so bad that, yes, second baseman Jesmul Valentin pitches the ninth inning for the Phillies. And he gives up 3 earned runs, which is understandable for a position player pitching. And then Mark Leiter Jr. gives up 2 earned and 1 2/3 innings pitched. And it looks like Philly's starting to look more like the team we expected it to be this year. And in Chicago tonight, though, Tigers beat the White Sox 4-3, taking the win. Buck Farmer taking the loss. Juan Minaya. Matt Davison goes 3 for 4. Omar Narvaez 2 for 3 for the White Sox. James McCann 3 for 4 for the Tigers. And it looks like they're getting Jordan Zimmerman back. And the Astros clobber the Royals 7-3. Taking the win is Charlie Morton. Taking the loss, Jake Junis. Alex Bregman hits his 9th home run of the year. Carlos Correa his 12th. Evan Gattis his 14th of the year. Junis gives up 6 earned in 5 1/3 innings pitched. And in the desert, and in Missouri tonight, the Cubbies clobber the Cardinals tonight, 13-5. Mike Waka gets clobbered for 8 earned runs tonight. Marcell Ozuna goes 2 for 3 for the Cardinals. Albert Almora Jr. 3 for 5 for the Cubbies. Anthony Rizzo 3 for 3 for the Cubs. Kyle Schwarber hits his 12th home run of the year. Ozuna hits his 9th home run of the year, and Schwarber crushes it 439 yards. And not a good night for Waka. 9 runs, 8 earned in 4 innings pitched. And Waka had the audacity to hit Anthony Rizzo with a pitch. And at the Coliseum tonight, the A's lose to the Angels tonight, 8-4, taking the win. Tyler Skaggs. Taking the loss is Chris Bassett. Ed Lowry goes 3 for 4 for the A's and is likely going to be moved at the trade deadline. Mike Trout goes 3 for 3. Ian Kinsler hits his 9th home run of the year. And both teams have a lot of injuries right now. And right now, the Angels have 15 players on the disabled list, and they are now running out of players on the 40-man roster. Back in a second here. But yeah, they've ran out of players on the 40-man roster to call up, so now they're having to DFA players just to make room for players on the 40-man roster for the Angels right now. So yeah, this is just getting crazy. I've never seen. So this has got to drive Mike Scioscia bats. And they lost four. All right, four players hit the DL in one day for the Halos. Garrett Richards, Zach Cozart, Jim Johnson, and Shohei Ohtani were all added to the disabled list today. We're adding their total of 15. And Garrett, also Nick Tropiano went on the disabled list. And they're already without Matt Shoemaker and JC Ramirez. But the things are getting so bad with the Angels right now. That they may have to start claiming players off of warm bodies off of waivers. It's getting that bad that they may have to start claiming warm bodies off of waivers at this point. Chris Bassett, not a good night in his second game with the A's. 6 runs, 2 earned, and 4 innings pitched. Now that's another injury ravaged rotations that has been the A's this year. They're just waiting for some healthy bodies to come back. And now they're making roster moves just to keep the bullpen fresh. Where I thought the A's would be buyers, maybe not anymore. Maybe they're going to have to get a return for Jed Lowry at the deadline now. And in the desert tonight, the D-backs beat the Mets 7-3. Taking the win, Zach Godley. Taking the loss, Seth Lugo. Gives it 5 earned and 5 innings pitched. Don Jay goes 3 for 5 for the Snakes. Paul Goldschmidt finally finding his bat. He goes 3 for 5. Hits his 14th home run of the year. David Peralta goes 2 for 3 for the Snakes. And Chris Beck makes his debut for the Mets tonight. But certainly it's looking like the fire sale could be coming for the Mets very soon. And in Seattle tonight, the Mariners beat the Red Sox 7-6 taking the win. Ryan Cook taking the loss. Matt Barnes, who gives up 2 earned and 1 inning pitched. Xander Bogaerts hits his 11th home run of the year. And James Paxton gets roughed up tonight for 6 runs, 5 earned, and 2 1/3 innings pitched. So not a good night for Paxton, but they did find a way to win in Seattle. And tonight down on the farm, the Grizzlies beat the Baby Cakes tonight 5-1. Kyle Tucker goes 3 for 5 for the Grizzlies. AJ Reed 2 for 3. Mike Housechild gives up his five scoreless innings out of Housechild tonight. And the River Cats beat the Rock Express 3-1, taking the win. Justin Gage. Matt Gage takes the win, excuse me. It goes 4 2/3 innings in relief of Jeff Samardzija, who looked a lot better tonight. 3 scoreless innings, 4 strikeouts. He definitely looks like he's finally healthy. And that would be some really welcome news if they can get a healthy Samardzija back in the rotation here. He will get one more rehab start before returning to the Giants. And also, it looks like we got good news out of Johnny Cueto. Looks like Cueto had a bullpen session. Looks like that went well. If batting practice does well next week, he will start a rehab assignment. So the rotation may finally be at full strength. At full strength by the time by the end of the month, but it could be too little, too late if they're not careful. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. I'm going to get some rest. You guys have a good night.